Hello, welcome to the video on why the top clinics by MBST. Now, if you follow the YouTube a little bit, you'll notice that I did a very similar video for IDD. Right now, we're mainly like the two sort of treatment, and there'll probably be more of this on the channel as we go along and we grow. But our clients will be like, oh yeah, here's a new device, and then we'll decide if we're marketing it or not. So right now, the main two we're doing is MBST and IDD. In the future, 100% there'll be more ones coming out that we're doing. Now, it's going to be a very similar video to the IDD one in terms of the benefits, but some clients of ours are asking, oh, what do you think about IDD, Dan? So I'll send them that one. And then what do you think about MBST, Dan? So I'll send them this one. And so I kind of record a similar video twice. There are going to be some differences, but I'm also going to be putting this video in our new client training program, which I'm building out currently right now. So Y Connects by MBST is the video I'm on. So I'm killing about 3 or 4 birds with one stone. And also, excuse this movement t-shirt. I'm off to the gym after this, but I wanted to get this video recorded before I get off. So let's dive in. So I'm going to do a very similar structure to the previous IDD video. I guess what I'll do, so I don't forget, is I'm going to just write down the exact same one. So let me just go over to our YouTube channel and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so I just wrote these out before. It's actually, I think it's practically the exact same benefits as IDD. However, it will relate differently. So the headlines are very similar, but they will relate differently. So I'm glad I'm recording it again. And so let's dive in. So the first one I wrote down, and I've got 5 points, which we're going to go through, is MBST or an associate. Now, since working closely with MBST, it's something that I have noticed is that it's not either or, you can have both, but there is a few practitioners that have decided to go for MBST rather than getting an associate. And there's kind of one core reason to that really, which is that if you build a patient base of people that are coming for MBST, realistically, that value and those patients are coming for the device. Okay, so let me just draw the arrow actually here. So they're coming for the device, okay? And what the device can offer. So if you are the person putting them on the device, if it's your front desk person, if it is your associate, it doesn't really matter to the patient. And so that means that if your associate leaves or the CA leaves or you want to take a step back, it doesn't really matter too much. Now, then if we go to your associate, for example, when people are coming, once they've built a relationship, they've come a few times, they're really coming for, again, the associate. And so then what happens when this associate decides to go and set up your practices here, and they go set up 10 miles down the road? Well, maybe not all the patients, but say they're seeing 200 patients, maybe 50 to 100 might just leave your practice and go to them. And so it leaves you a little bit wide open. Now, it's not like, again, it's not either or. It's just a fact of if you can reduce your risk of being reliant on associates, then it means that you have a little bit more diversification and it reduces your risk. And so there's a big benefit for that. So that's why I really like having devices in a practice, because it gives you a little bit of a moat, so that if someone does set up 10 miles down the road or 5 miles down the road, you're not going to lose your entire patient base. But you probably might lose a couple of people. Obviously, everyone here, they probably have contracts in place, but I can imagine that most people watching this video have had some sort of experience where an associate hasn't listened to the contract. And if you haven't, then probably expect it, because it happens all the time. I personally haven't experienced this, but I see my clients and I talk to them all the time, and they're just like, it's very common. And so it gives you a unique advantage of a moat around your practice. So that's definitely one benefit. The next benefit is, I'm just going to bump this up so that I can have more space, because I thought I would have done more there, is the maths. Now, I'm not going to go into, because I know that the clinics that do MBST want to keep, I guess, like the prices of the cards and how the system works. Obviously, if you want to know more about it, you can reach out to me and then I can send you off to the right person at MBST and you can speak to them directly. So I'm just going to keep it broad, just so you're aware though, there is a good ability to make good margin on these. So let's just take a random number of 1,000. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but let's say you make 1,000 profit, okay, from each card you sell. Why is that doing that? There we go. Okay, so you make 1,000 profit from each card you sell. Well, we're seeing that you can get a card and someone to buy a card for between £100 to £200 all in from your marketing, okay? And so that means that everyone here, this is your CAC. Hopefully, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know what CAC is. But for everyone that doesn't, it's cost to acquire a customer. So you've got cost to acquire a customer there, and then this here is going to be, it's not even your LTV, it's just more your front end profit, which is a bit of a unique metric. We don't really look at that too much, but it's just what I'm going to do for. So we're looking at front end profit, and I can explain kind of like how that works. So there's obviously a cost, like a cost to fulfill the good. This is after, so it's practically gross profit at this point. So it's, I'll put gross. We're getting a bit technical here. Gross profit practically means you're not taking into consideration rent, bills. It's just more like how much the device is to fulfill a care plan. The person who's actually putting them on the device, it would be another thing as well. So that's why it's gross profit, to break that down for you. But then why is it front end? So obviously front end is like initially, so this is how much you could make from someone seeing you on one day. They can pay, for example, a few thousand, and you make £1,000 profit from that, for example. So you've got front end, but then later on, the good thing is everyone here knows that this is one of the most important metrics in business. The second most important metric is LTV. So on an MBST patient, once they've done their treatment, which usually can take between like a week to 2 weeks for it to be completely done, it can even be shorter than that if they do really intensive. But again, speak to MBST directly if you have any questions about how the actual device and treatments and the results work. But with LTV, you've got, if you add in potentially physio, osteopathy or chiropractic plans onto like a maintenance after someone's finished their plan, it could be, well, 4,000 plus if you do a really good job and they've got good results and they're happy and you retain them for a few years easily. It could be 10k if you retain them for like 20 years. And I know that people watching this, some of you would have had patients that have probably paid you 5,000-10,000 over their whole entire lifetime of seeing you. And so the lifetime value is really big on this, mainly because of how much you can make in such a short period of time, from like the benefit of selling the cars being much higher than like a classic care plan. But then also the lifetime value later on, because the people that come in for MBST usually have like quite big problems, which means they'll need ongoing maintenance and wellness to be able to maintain good results. And just generally, like these sort of people who are coming in for MBST plans, they're going to be really good quality and be willing to invest in their health if they're going to buy one of these. So they're probably going to stay with you for a long time. And so that really means, if we kind of go back to, let's just take the 1,000. So let's go on the high end in terms of your CAC, so cost to acquire a customer. Oh, so if we do 200 and then put that to 1,000, you're getting a 1 to 5. So 1 to 5x return on investment, and that's on profit as well. So you're putting £1 in to put 5 back in your pocket, which is pretty good. And then again, it could be 10 if it's £100 to sell a card. And it could be way better return on investment as well if we start thinking about the lifetime value that comes with these sort of care plans. So, and they're not care plans, like they're cards, and then the wellness that comes after, or the maintenance, or however you want to do it. Again, I probably should have prefaced this at the start, to be honest. I'm looking at this completely on a business perspective in terms of like clinical outcomes, whether it's the right thing for your practice and your patients. That's for you to decide, and because you're the expert. I'm the marketing guy, the business guy, but also from what I've seen working with people who have MBST, they're getting fantastic results, because you can't charge someone a decent amount of money and then try and fill the service and it doesn't do well on a very consistent basis and then have a successful reputation. But we have MBST clients have very, very, very good reputations in their area. And I think now would maybe be a good time, because I kind of assumed that, and you probably have watched already a video or maybe looked at what MBST is already, but just so you can get a visual representation as well of what MBST is, the device. It looks like this. It's a cell regeneration device. So you've got like 3 different models. You've got the biggest one, which is this one here, which helps with the entire body. Then this one I think is I think it's classed as the ASF, and don't quote me on that. I think it's ASF though. It's something along those lines, as this one can help with like bigger joints. And then where's the final one? This one here is the smaller one. I think this one actually can be taken, like patients can take this one away, so it's quite unique in that way. But yeah, this is kind of what happens in terms of like how it actually works. Make sure that, you kind of do your own research and have a chat with the MBST team, as I've mentioned a couple of times, but I just thought I'd show that now. And then coming through here, so we've gone through that, we've gone through the maths, which is number 2. Okay, cool. Then we've got the side benefit. Now, the coolest thing about doing MBST marketing is you've kind of got 2 options. It's not, do they do it or do they not? It's usually a case of, do they do MBST or do they do one of your other treatments? So, for example, do they go and do chiro, physio, osteopathy? Do they, and then so this is a good thing about it, is like, even if they're not a good fit for MBST, they're still going to be a good fit for your other services. And so your return on investment on your ads is really, really huge. So if we kind of go into the numbers specifically here, and don't want to crunch it too much, but let's say, for example, you get 20 initial consults. Let's say that 8 of these buy a card and they go on to MBST, so you make £8,000 profit based on what I said earlier today up here. Okay? And then from there, what happens to these other 12 patients? Well, they're not just going to walk out the door and just go into the abyss. And actually what can happen is, if you're doing care plans in the practice, or even if you're just, either way, you're going to have some sort of like follow-up sessions, then they can go on and they can buy a care plan of 12 for chiropractic or for physio or for osteopathy. And so let's say 50% of this, which is actually quite low, but let's say 50% of these people go onto a plan, that's another 6 new patients. And so what could that be? If we do 6 times 500, say in the average care plan, it's going to be 3K. So you've got 3K that you've made from just general osteopathy, chiro. And so what this is going to equal is £11,000. And that could be something you could get in a month easily. I've seen this done many, many, many times before from also 8 MBST patients. This is not lifetime value of either of these, so it could be way higher. Some people have to buy multiple cards, again, going into the nitty-gritty a little bit there, but you'll need to understand how the card system works if you were to buy one. And so this is like a really great return on investment, and you could really put in, like, to get this sort of outcome, £1,500 to get this sort of outcome into ads. And so you're putting like £1 in to get, but you could be, you probably with like 1,500 get this sort of outcome. And so you're really putting £1 in to get like 8 back, which is pretty huge. So this really, really helps with increasing return on investment, helping more patients, and also if maybe you're doing the MBST stuff, these 6 patients can go to your associate if you have them, so you don't need to do as much marketing for your associates because they're just getting the side benefit patients. And so if anyone's not a good fit, you can just like, there's an option of you just say, oh, here's the plan I recommend, and the associate fulfills that plan. I see that happen with clinics quite a lot as well. Then the investment. So the cool thing about this is that this would be classed as an asset. So I know that MBST will sometimes buy the devices back themselves. But there's also like other clinics that want to potentially buy a refurbished one or a second-hand device. And so you could have your MBST device, pay it off, and then get 50% of the value back 5 years down the line or something. I'm not sure exactly about how long the machines and devices last, but I do know that they can last quite a while. So that's another great side benefit for you. So you could generate, I don't want to go into the numbers specifically because I don't want to speak about how much of a device is, but let's just say some random numbers. Let's just say you generate £100,000 worth of profit from it in like 2 years, and then you then go and you sell it for, let's just say like 50k is a random number, so £50,000 again, and then maybe you only put in 75k to get it, for example. And so then in that time, practically from selling it, it's only lost like 25k or something. But then you've made another 100k on top of that. So then obviously there's a pretty good return on investment there. So it's an asset. So every time, because they have like financing options, you can just get a loan or something. So every time you pay off it's like a mortgage, for example. Every time you do your monthly installment, you're buying more of an asset. That's something you can sell. It can also increase clinic value. Again, building that moat as well. So if you ever were to sell the clinic, having devices that paid off like IDD or MBST can help with that sale value as well. So if you say, for example, if we link back to, let me keep this meeting active. If we loop back up to getting an associate or getting MBST, when you pay for the MBST device on a monthly basis, that's not, and it's not wasted money when you pay an associate because obviously you've got value back from it. But it's just like you're paying the associate, you're never going to see any benefit from that money ever again when you give it to them. However, MBST is exactly like paying off a house. You're buying an asset every month. You're putting money into an asset and you're building it and owning more of it. So that's the investment side. The final bit is future-proofing. With these devices, it's one of those things that if, say this is your area, this circle, and you're here, and you're the first in this area to get an MBST device. And let's say this is 10 miles. Well, realistically, the person that's 5 miles away from here to here, it's quite unlikely they're going to buy MBST as a device, especially like in these early phases whilst it's growing. And so it means that you can become the go-to, which is exactly what you want to be. So if you can get in early on this, MBST is only going to grow because they're investing a lot of money into research, into also like awareness advertising. There's more and more clinics buying into it and doing marketing with someone like ourselves as well. So eventually it will hopefully become something like a household name. And so you can be the go-to for MBST in your area and you can have your patch. But let's say right now you're here and you're like, oh yeah, I'll buy MBST in a year. Well, let's say it's the other way around. So you're here, this one, I'm just circling in, hopefully you can see where I'm doing it a little bit more. Maybe this clinic buys it in 6 months. Well, then realistically, it flips. And then you're the one who goes, actually, no, I probably won't buy MBST then because they've already got it, the person 5 miles away, and it's not going to be as good the return on investment because there's competition. So you can pick up all the low-hanging fruit in your area if you're the first person in your area to get MBST, which is what we see with our clients. So that's everything I wanted to go through. Hopefully you found that valuable, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you need any contacts with MBST, please do. Probably the easiest, if you don't have my number already, just reach out on Instagram. It's Align Flow Ltd, and then myself or the team will guide you the right way to contacting them. Speak soon. Bye-bye.